What's up, y'all? It's Evan here, Summer NAMM 2019 in Nashville. I'm here at the Fender booth with Rodrigo. Rodrigo's showing me some of the new pedals in the Fender line, the ever-growing Fender pedal line. It's about 26 pedals now. Rodrigo, can you walk me through some of the new ones that have just been released?
Absolutely. So the first thing that we've got here is our Compugilist, which is a compressor distortion based on our Benz compressor and Pugilist distortion. So independently switchable, all analog compressor distortion. Pretty simple knob layout. The next thing that we've got is our Trapper, which is our dual fuzz pedal. So, you know, compared to our Pelt, which is a little bit more of a polite silicon-based fuzz, this is going to be a really crazy, weird, unusual pedal. It features two different fuzz voices, one with a switchable octave and one with a very draconian, sputtery noise gate that can get you all kinds of weird sort of sounds. The next one in the lineup is the MTGLA, which is a high-gain tube distortion pedal that we designed with Bruce Egnator.
Nice.
So if you're familiar with our MTG distortion pedal that we just put out 6 months ago, this is kind of the high-gain, you know, late 80s hair metal sister to that pedal.
And those tubes are like running out, right? Like you're going to be out of tubes?
Yeah, we might not be out of them for a little while. We actually were sitting on, like, I think like 30,000 of these, you know, NOS military 6205 tubes. So we're going to be adding more MTG pedals into the tube line. That MTG acronym is kind of our tube moniker. Yeah. The Pour Over is a really interesting envelope filter pedal designed by Stan Cody. So basically this features a filter side and a distortion side. It's got low pass, band pass, and high pass filter types, so you can optimize it for bass or for guitar. You can get everything from very like kind of straightforward auto walk, kind of Jerry Garcia sounds, all the way to like gnarly synth swell tones and some really interesting tones out of that pedal.
Yeah, so tell me about the reflecting pool. That's the one that's really catching my eye.
Right, so the reflecting pool is actually also based on some pedals that we put out last year. So the mirror image and the marine layer delay and reverb pedals have been kind of combined into one box here.
Which everyone should want. Those are like the two most popular.
Right, yeah. We got a lot of love for the marine layer last year, so we've included all of those same sounds, and we've actually kind of upped the quality of them. So there's a more advanced DSP in here. And we collected a lot of consumer feedback. What do people want? So they want stereo in out, they want tap tempo. And so this is kind of just those two pedals combined into one box. So if you want, I'll turn that on and give you guys a taste really quick.
Yeah, let's hear what it sounds like.
So starting off with the reverb side, you've got some familiar sounds. There's a hall and there's a room. The variation switch will control the size of the reverb. So the really cool thing about this pedal is the special reverbs. So you've got 3 totally different sounds on the special side. So the first one's going to be a shimmer. You'll also notice that there's an extra knob here. So the extra knob controls one other parameter depending on which variation you have set. So here it's the octaves. Variation 2 is a reverse gated reverb, really weird. So that's a reverse gated reverb, and then variation 3 is a modulated plate reverb, again with a super kind of like long decay time. On the delay side, there's a whole lot of different controls to go over, but basically you've got digital, analog, and tape style delays. You've got a quality switch that allows you to degrade them from 1 to 3. And then you've got a whole bunch of different control over subdivisions. You can mix between the main delay and the subdivided delay. You can choose all kinds of different note values for those subdivisions. So without going into too much detail, I'll just kind of give you guys a taste of what that sounds like. Subdivisions from an 8th note to an 8th note triplet to a dotted 8th. Putting them together here. styles. You know, you've got some very traditional sounds in there, but also some really weird and unusual otherworldly sounds in there. So that's the reflecting pool.
I'm here with Shane at the Fender booth. Shane's been kind enough to show me around the Tone Master series, new amps from Fender, making recreations of the Deluxe, the Twin, solid-state versions of the amps at a much lighter weight, which for me, with my bad back, is perfect. Shane, can you walk us through the amps real quick?
Now, Fender's been doing modeling amps for decades, but we've mostly done kind of lower-end Mustangs and Champions and stuff like that. But we've actually been working on this project for about 3 years. We wanted to do a high-end modeling product for professionals, but not do it with hundreds of presets and hundreds of effects and so all that kind of stuff. We do it with what we're best at, what we're known for, combo amps. So these amps offer the same player experience on the front panel that a 65 Deluxe Reverb or 65 Twin Reverb does.
Right.
We've modeled the preamp, the tone stack, the power amp, the phase inverter, the interaction with the speaker, everything, but there's no tubes and nothing to break, and the amps are half the weight of their, original versions.
Shane, if you could, just take us for a spin. Let's see what it sounds like.
That's the amp on 5, volume on 5, treble and bass on 5.
Right up the middle.
For a lot of people, that's kind of 4 or 5 in the volume is your sweet spot, and then you use an overdrive pedal to push it over the cliff and like that. So these amps have a couple of kind of hidden features on the back panel that are for today's player where, okay, so you have a Twin or a Deluxe set at the sweet spot, and then you get to the gig or to the rehearsal, whatever, and you're just a little too loud. We have a power level control on the back that on the Deluxe, you're simulating 22 watts when it's on full, but then you can go down to 15 and stuff like that and set it for the room without having to adjust your pedals or your settings on the amp.
Sure.
So very convenient for the modern player. Then the next thing we have is we have an XLR line output that has 2 different IRs, impulse responses. And we rolled our own. We went to a studio in Phoenix and studied a whole bunch of different classic microphones and everything. What we ended up with is we have an IR for an SM57, which every guitar player knows, and then we also have a Royer ribbon mic.
That's the classic combination.
And it's it's very different. It's a much smoother response and fatter sounding and all that. So it gives you 2 good choices of IRs. So you can go line out into the PA and sound great with your IRs, much like a lot of professional modeling products do,
Sure.
but it's specifically set up for the Deluxe Reverb or Twin Reverb to have the sound of that amp.
Awesome.
Then, additionally, these amps have the familiar standby switch on the back next to the power. You can go to mute, and the amp is muted, but you're still using your XLR line out. So for a worship band or a casino band or anybody who wants to have a quiet stage, you can still have your amp that you love and run it either quietly or even just muted and still be out to the PA with that IR, and it's very effective. There are a lot of great records recorded with a Twin on 10. The early Santana albums were that. A lot of the B.B. King stuff was a Twin cranked. The first Sex Pistols record is a Twin cranked. So, but most people never get the chance to play the amp that loud because it'll kill people if they're standing in front of it. Nothing on the front panel is different. It's exactly the same playing experience. But with that volume level on the back, you have all of those settings, and then with the line out to the PA with the IRs, those are like modern features that almost every guitar player can appreciate.
Awesome. Well, Shane, thank you for taking the time, my friend.
Glad to help.
Oh my God. I gotta live this all day. I know. What kind of workout is this? This is a Fender Twin.